in the sport of boxing for 37 years, 14 years as an elite boxer, and 23 years as an elite coach. Today, I'm going to give a little clinic, and I entitled it Coaching Development Clinic, Putting World-Class Boxing Coaches. I like to share this information with everyone, coaches and boxers, because I believe that many of our boxers, our young boxers, they will be our coaches in the future. So a lot of good information I'm about to share for coaches that's been coaching for quite a while, and for coaches, up and coming coaches. Like I said, I've been involved in the sport for 37 years and 14 years actually boxing on the elite level. And I've learned a lot of, about the sport from some very experienced people, including athletes as well as experienced coaches, elite coaches. And I'm very passionate about boxing and people. And I want to share because it makes better boxing in the world. But we're going to move on, and I'm going to give you a preview of what we're going to discuss. We'll talk about safety. Safety, always safety first in all that you do. We'll talk about coaches' legal duties, coaches' philosophy, leadership. That's a very important factor there, the coaches' philosophy and leadership. And then we're going to spend quite a bit of time on that. I'm going to skip planning on this one. We're going to jump into basic fundamentals of sport. Then we're going to talk a little bit about ring generalship, basic defense, basic offense, components of strategy, variables of execution, attaining victory in combat sport, the mental aspect of boxing. We're going to talk about something called core discipline, talk about physical talent, and coach-athlete relationship, and also about anger, controlling your anger as a coach. Before I even start, I want to share with you, and I'm not getting paid by anybody I'm not getting paid by anybody to do this at all, and I'm not charging you. But to be a good coach, you have to do a lot of reading. You have to have a lot of experience, experience a lot of things, and you must be willing to learn, and you must have an open mind, and you must have a creative mind. Okay, first book I want to tell you, one of the best books out there, called Successful Coaching by Martens. This is a must-have. It has nothing to do with boxing, but it has a lot to do with coaching, how to be a successful coach in any sport. Second book I want to talk to you about is S.C.O.R.E, S.C.O.R.E for Life. Actually, it's called The Secret Formula of Thinking Like a Champion. S.C.O.R.E for Life, the 5 keys to optimum achievement. Okay, this has nothing to do with boxing as well, but it has a lot of good information that you can use for the sport of boxing. The third book I want to talk to you about, I want to tell you this good to read, is Mind Gym, An Athlete's Guide to Inner Excellence by Gary Mack. See, I have a lot of pages here that's tabbed out. I've read this book many times, over and over again. Very good book. I think this is my favorite book of all times. But with that, we're going to move on. I somehow misplaced my, I don't know what I did with it. But I just have to use the space bar. Okay. We're going to talk about safety and risk management. Safety is an important issue to help prevent injuries and liability issues. As a coach, you have legal duties to fulfill. If you fail to do these legal duties, it can result in injury, and you can be sued under tort law. Legal term for failing to fulfill your legal duty is negligence. Understand and fulfill your duties as a coach. Here's a list of duties that you need to understand and fulfill as a coach. You need to know the technical and competition rules. You need to establish a risk management process. You need to establish the gym rules and have the boxers sign that he and she, they understand the rules. You want to speak with the parents and the boxers about injuries or physical issues that the boxer may have. And you want to make sure that a release form is signed by the boxer in the parent, understanding how you operate in your gym. Okay, 10 legal duties for coaches are: number one, coach, you should properly plan the activities that that athletes are going to take part in. You want to provide proper instructions. You want to tell the athletes of the risk of the sport. You want to provide a safe and physical environment. Protect the athletes. You want to provide adequate and proper equipment. You want to do inspections, make sure the rings and everything that the athletes are using and the surroundings are safe, are operational. You want to match your athletes appropriately. You don't want to match an elite athlete with a novice athlete and have them spar 100% full out. That's you're looking for something terrible to happen there. You want to evaluate your athletes for injury or incapacity. Make sure that they're able to function and do what it is that they need to do without injury. You need to supervise activities closely. You must watch. Do not take your eyes off or your attention off of what's going on. You want to provide appropriate emergency assistance. A good thing to do is make sure that you're CPR, AED certified, what they call first aid. And you want to protect against any physical and psychological harm to your athletes. There's a couple of other things that I added to that. You want to teach the skills of boxing in correct progression. You want to teach technical and tactical skills correctly and thoroughly. You want to provide proper instructions. You want to provide instruction regarding the safety of the sport. We said this earlier. You want to tell them about the risks, because someone getting hit all the time inside the head, they may say it doesn't hurt them, but in the end it does. It affects them. You want to provide a safe physical environment. Regularly and thoroughly inspect the facility and equipment. You want to ensure that the athlete's health is satisfactory for participation. We just said this earlier. Determine if an illness or injury is threatening, and if so, participation should be stopped. You want to have supervision of a responsible adult in the gym at all times. Never leave the boxers alone in the gym. Like I said earlier, you want to provide emergency assistance if it's needed. Now we're going to move over to coaching philosophy and leadership. Okay, And what we're going to cover why philosophy. We're going to cover developing your philosophy, how to develop your philosophy. We're going to talk about self-awareness. We're going to talk about the 3 selves that we all have. We're going to talk about self-esteem, self-disclosure, a winning philosophy, striving to win. We're going to talk about the 3 coaching styles most people use. We're going to talk about leadership in coaching. We're going to talk about the qualities of successful coaching. All of these things, they fall under the coaching philosophy and leadership. So let's go ahead and begin with this portion first. This is very important. This is a very important part of coaching. And you need to understand this, and you need to utilize this if you're going to be a good coach. Number 1, the question, why philosophy? Ask the question, why philosophy? Philosophy means the pursuit of wisdom. It helps us answer the fundamental questions of what, why, and how. Our philosophies determine the way we view objects and experiences in our lives, as well as the way we view people and relationships with them. Our philosophies determine the values that we hold about experiences, people, and our relationships with them. I just said that. I just copied that. That's God. That's a little mistake there. But lastly, uncertain. If you're uncertain about your beliefs or your important issues in your life, your coaching leads to inconsistent behavior. And it often destroys personal relationships and create chaotic conditions within a family or a team. You don't want to be as uncertain about your beliefs or important issues in life, because you become an inconsistent person. So these are the reasons why we want to have a philosophy. Now, we're going to talk about how do you develop your philosophy. Having the philosophy, number 1, will remove uncertainty about your training, about your rules, about code of conduct, about discipline, about your competitive outlook, short and long-term goals. Philosophy consists of 1, major objectives. Those are things that you value and want to achieve. 2, consists of your belief or principles to help achieve your objectives. Philosophy comes from all your life experiences. You want to approach your athletes in the same manner you approach any other person in life. You don't want to treat them any differently. Okay, developing the use of philosophy, number 2, it involves 2 major tasks. First, you must develop a greater self-awareness. You need to get to know yourself better. Number 2, you need to decide on what your objectives are in coaching. Know what it is, what is it that why are you coaching? What is it you're trying to do? Because your objectives will shape the way you see your role as a coach, and shape many of your behaviors as a coach. If you give the same amount of time to develop your philosophy as you do the development of your technical knowledge, you will certainly be a much better coach. We're going to talk about self-awareness. As a coach, you must know who you are if you hope to help your athlete know who they are. When you are at peace with yourself, you can help your athlete be at peace with themselves. If you have direction and commitment, you can impart direction and commitment on your athlete. When the athletes see you behave with a reasonable consistency, they will be more likely to respond with appropriate consistency. Demonstrating character and guiding athletes will build character in the athlete. As a coach, you must realize What you teach may well be less important than what you demonstrate through your character and your philosophy. There's two ways to increase your self-awareness. Number one, you want to reflect on your beliefs and assumptions. Just look back on what you believe and things that you believe are true. Number two, you want to request feedback from other people. Ask them how you do things. You may be given instructions to an athlete, and another coach is watching. After you can walk over to the coach and say, how do you think I look? How did you see me? Okay, how did you see the athlete react? What did you see? This is how you can because we as people, we cannot see ourselves. We cannot see ourselves. And sometimes we say things and we do things and we feel that we're doing one thing that comes out a totally different way. Okay. Sometimes, you may ask for that information and it may be hard for you to accept, but don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't deny it, because what's happening is you will grow from it. You have a lot to learn from these situations. We're going to talk about self-concept. Your self-concept can be thought of as three selves. Okay, ideal self, the public self, and the real self. Okay, the ideal self refers to the person you would like to be. It represents your values, your sense of right and wrong, what you expect and demand of yourself. And it's based on the moral principles acquired from your family and the important people in your life. Next, we have the public self. It is the image you believe others have of you, because you want others to believe certain things about you so that they respect you, so that they love you, and they help you meet your goals. If they believe the wrong things about you, they may ignore you, they may reject you, or they may punish you. Next, we have the real you. And the real you are some of those subjective thoughts, feelings, and needs that you see as being an authentic you. The real self is continually changing. Okay, through interactions with others, the communication process, you come to understand, accept, and experience the real self. Now, sometimes a conflict arises between the real selves and the other selves, and it results in anxiety, guilt, and even maybe self-hatred. Okay, when a feeling, thought, or experience conflicts with your belief about yourself, you may feel threatened. Then you tend to distort or deny or ignore the experience. When you do this, you're trying to protect your self-concept. But you must understand, when you're overly protective, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow from those experiences. You should strive to keep your public and ideal selves compatible with your real selves. You want to keep them aligned. You want to keep them close by. You want to keep them close. It's very important. We'll talk about self-esteem. Your level of self-esteem affects your success as a coach. Self-esteem pertains to the inner conviction about your competency and worth as a human being. Many make the mistake in basing their self-esteem on wins and losses. Self-esteem is not achieved by defeating others, living up to your own realistic standards. For all the judgments that we pass in life, there's none that's more important than the ones we pass upon ourselves. So that judgment touches the very center of our existence. How we relate to ourselves affect how we relate to others and to the world. Your success as a coach is strongly related to your perception of yourself as a competent person. And self-awareness is the first step toward knowing yourselves, your competence, toward deciding whether to change the current ineffective patterns of behavior to effective ones. Now we're going to talk about self-disclosure. By disclosing myself to you, I create the potential for trust, for caring, commitment, growth, and self-understanding. How can you care for me if you don't know me? How can you trust me if I do not demonstrate my trust in you by disclosing myself to you? How can you be committed to me if you know little or nothing about me? How can I know and understand myself if I do not disclose myself to my friends? Success or failure of a coach is not wholly based on his mastery of the sport. He or she must also be a communicator. Let the athletes know what they're all about, where they stand with them, precisely what the coach expects them to do, and that the coach, you will listen to them as well. Athletes want to trust the coaches, and when they do, they'll run through a brick wall for you. Number one, you want to be honest with your athlete. You want to explain decisions to the athlete. And number one, you want to keep the athlete's interests uppermost in mind. Whatever is best for the athlete, that's the decision you want to make. Now, develop your philosophy by learning about yourself and thinking through important decisions. Appropriate disclosure of yourself to your athletes help you to know yourself better, to develop your philosophy further, to establish a trusting relationship with your athletes. Sharing your philosophy with your athletes by word and deed will help them develop their own philosophies. The most important ingredient of a philosophy is that you own it. If you take the tenets of someone else's philosophy without acting in a way that's consistent with those tenets, deceiving yourself, you're deceiving others. Philosophy is not really expressed by what you say, but by what you do. Winning philosophy, striving to win. You know, there's a saying, okay, first, I want to tell you, I encourage you to adopt the motto, athletes first, winning second. Once again, athletes first, winning second. Okay, it's easy to say, it's not as easy to do when you have to make decisions concerning events. Always think about the athletes first, winning second. Okay. You've heard the saying, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, about Vince Lombardi. The fortunate thing about that is that he never said that. He never said winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. What he did say is winning isn't everything, striving to win is. There's a big difference. The motto, it does not mean that winning is not important. It's the objective of any contest is to win. Striving to win within the rules of the sport should be the objective of every athlete and coach. Many athletes say their best memory in sport is not the victories themselves, but the months of preparation and anticipation and self-revelation they receive before and during the competition. Every decision you make, every behavior you display should be based on what you judge is best for the athlete. Second, what may improve the athlete's chance of winning. Striving to win is an important objective. It is an important objective of sports participation. It's easy to lose sight of the long-term objectives, which are helping athletes develop physically, psychologically, and socially, while pursuing the short-term goal objective of winning. With proper leadership, the leadership you provide will produce young people who accept responsibilities, who accept others, and most importantly, accept themselves. We have 3 coaching styles. Most coaches use one of 3 coaching styles: the command style, the submissive style, and the cooperative style. Command style is quoted as titled as the dictator, because in the command style of coaching, the coach makes all of the decision. The role of the athlete is to respond to the coach's command. Assumption underlying this approach is that because the coach has the knowledge and the experience, it is the coach's role to tell the athlete what to do. It's the athlete's role is to listen, to absorb, and to comply. Next, we have what we call the submissive style of coaching. People term this the babysitter. Coaches who adopt this style makes very few decisions as possible. This coach provides little instructions, provides minimal guidance and organizing activities, resolves discipline problems only when absolutely necessary. Coaches who adopt this style, they lack the competency to provide proper instructions and guidance. And they are too lazy to meet the demands of their coaching responsibilities, or are very misinformed about what coaching is. So we don't want to even be anything close to or use a submissive style of coaching. It's not really coaching. It's like it says, it's babysitting. Next, we have the cooperative style. It's labeled the teacher. Coaches who select the cooperative style share decision making with the athlete. Okay. They recognize their responsibilities to provide leadership and guide young people toward achieving the objective that they set forth. They know that youngsters cannot become responsible adults without learning to make decisions. The challenge with the cooperative style is providing the right balance between directing the athlete and letting them direct themselves. Coaches are increasingly finding that the command style, which is the dictatorship style, is less effective with today's athletes. Coaches are recognizing that the command style alienates all but the highly gifted athlete, and that it diminishes their own satisfaction in the relationship with the athletes. As a cooperative style coach, we have the complex task of deciding how much structure will create the optimum climate for athletes' development. The cooperative style coach gives direction and instruction when needed. He also knows when to let the athlete make decisions and assume responsibility. There's more to being an athlete than just having motor skills. To perform well, athletes must be able to cope with pressure. They must adapt to changing situations. They must keep the contest in perspective. They must exhibit discipline, and they must maintain concentration. Now we're going to talk about leadership and coaching. Leadership is first knowing how to chart a course, give directions by having a vision of what can be. Second, leadership is developing a social and psychological environment to achieve goals the leader has charted. Excellent coaches/leaders give the athlete vision and know how to translate this vision into reality. Coaches in their leadership roles seek to develop an environment in which the athlete has the maximum opportunity to achieve success. Coaches as leaders are not only concerned with the physical environment, but also with the psychological and social environments. Leadership emphasizes interpersonal relationships and has a direct impact on motivation. And now we're going to talk about action that distinguish an effective leader from an ineffective leader. Leaders provide direction. They set goals by having a vision of the future. Leaders build psychological and social environment that is conducive to achieving goals. Leaders instill values. They share the philosophy of life. Leaders motivate athletes to pursue their goals. Leaders confront athletes and members of the team when problems arise, and they resolve conflicts. Overall, leaders communicate. Now we're going to go over 3 important qualities of a successful coach. First, knowledge. As a coach, you should know the rules. You should know the technical and the tactical skills. Motivation. You must be able to motivate your athletes. Without motivation, all the skills and knowledge in the world will take you nowhere. Empathy. You must have the ability to understand the thoughts, feelings, and emotion of the athlete, to convey your sensitivity to them. It's a two-way street. Now we're going to talk about basic fundamentals. Let me see. Talk about basic fundamentals. And we're going to start off with balance. Okay, I relate the sport of boxing to life, because you know, in life you have to have a balanced life. When you have a balanced life, you can do more things. You can be successful in many things. When I say balance in life, you want to be mentally balanced, physically balanced, socially balanced, financially balanced. You know, when you have all these components and they're balanced, you can do many things. You can party, you can work, you know, you're gonna be successful because you're balanced. But when one of those things falls off, you become unbalanced and it knocks everything else off. Now, balance in boxing, what balance does just like in life, it allows you to do many things simultaneously. And in boxing, you have to do many things at the same time. Okay, so you want to stay on balance. Now I'm gonna give you a demonstration on how you should accept balance. When you're balanced, the shoulders should always be parallel to the ground. They should not fall this way. They should not fall this way. And your torso should always be perpendicular to the ground. This is what a balance entails. Okay, like I said, when you're in balance, you can do many things simultaneously. And in the sport of boxing, you need to do many things simultaneously. Now we talk about movement. Movement, and when I'm here, when I'm referring to movement, I'm specifically talking about foot movement. You must know how to move. You must know that if you move to the left, you should move the left foot first. If you move to the right, you should move the right foot first. If you move forward, you move the front foot first. If you move back, you should move the back foot first. Okay. Also, in movement of boxing, a lot of people can go with step, step. But in boxing, you must be smooth. You must be graceful. And if your heels hit the ground, you're beginning to walk like a duck or a clown. And there's nothing graceful about a clown or a duck, the way that they move. So when you move with your feet, you want to be on the ball of your feet. You don't want to be on your tippy toes. You want to be on the ball of your feet. You want to have your foundation down to the ground. You don't want your heels on the ground. You want your heels barely off the ground. Okay, so when you move, you step. And the second movement is a slight drag, a very short drag, not a long drag, and it should not be equal. The energy that you take in the step should not be equal to the energy in your drag, because it takes a lot more energy to pick your foot up the step than it does for you to drag. You need to balance that out while you're moving. Next, we're going to talk about directness. Okay, you want to be able to be direct. When we go somewhere, you want to be direct. Okay, you don't want to go all over the place just to get. When you go from one point to another point, the best way to get there is straight. Okay, you want to be direct. What directness does, directness increases speed, and it enhances your speed, and enhances the power. That's what directness does. Okay. Now, let's say you throw a hook. We all know that we cannot throw a straight hook. But if I throw a hook and my punch is leaving from here and I want to get here, I don't want to go all out here and around here and then finally get there. It's not direct. I want to take the closest route possible when I throw a hook. When I throw a hook, I'm going to go here to here. I don't want to go way out here. I'm going to go the quickest way to the destination. Next, we're talking about efficiency. Efficiency. What is efficiency? Efficiency is the way that I look at it is only utilize what is necessary. Do not use extra things if it's not needed. Do not use things that's not needed. Okay. For one thing, a lot of amateurs and a lot of immature boxers. When I say immature, they're not fully matured, because you do have some pros that do this too. Okay, every time they punch, they must make a sound. Okay, what am I see with this? Number one, you're punching with your mouth, with the sound in your mouth. Your mouth is slow compared to your hands. Your hands are much faster than your mouth. So when you go ha ha, or, you're throwing slow, where you can, your hands will be able to get to the destination a lot quicker. Also, when you go ha ha ha, if I go ha 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 for 3 minutes without doing anything but going ha 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 ha, guess what? I'm wasting energy. I've got nothing but and my cardio is working. So I think that you need to get rid of that. You didn't want to be efficient. And I promise you, watch the best boxers in the world. From the beginning to now. The best boxers, they do not do that. They do not waste that energy. Okay? Maybe every so often they may go, ah, or huh, but they don't, all the punches they do not make that noise. Next, recognition. Okay, when I say recognition, I'm talking about the eyes. You must be able to see. A lot of coaches, they don't teach the boxers that they must see, because most people take for granted that everybody can see. Okay, but you need to focus and recognize what's going on. Your eyes are the first aspect of defense. You have to be able to recognize what's going on. And once your eyes see it, transfer to your brain, and your brain transfer to whatever body part is to react to what you see. And next, you must be able to make adjustments. You must be able to make adjustments. These are basic things that you must be able to do. Okay? If a punch comes and you do something and the punch comes and they barely miss you, but guess what? You might not want to do that the next time you're in that situation, because next time you may make an adjustment and catch you and it might be over. So you have to be able to make adjustments. We're going to go over the scoring criteria this is for amateur boxing, but also you can use it for professional boxing as well. It's not too far off from one another. A boxer will be given a value for following scoring methodology. Number one, the number of quality blows landed on the target area. Number two, domination of the bout. Number three, competitiveness, not giving up and continue to compete. This is amateur. These three things are what the scoring criteria for amateur is today. It changes quite often, just like the rules changes quite often. As a coach, you need to know the rules. You need to consistently go over the rules because they change. They can change next month. Okay, so the rules are consistently changing. Right now, these three things are the criteria for boxing and amateur boxing. And these next three used to be part of the criteria. But I didn't remove them because I don't think that they were hurt. If you have technical, good style and form when you're boxing, okay, you have strategic and tactical positioning, ability to cut the opponent, just show that you know what we call ring generalship, basically. And infringement of the rules. Don't break the rules, because a lot of judges they frown upon infringement of the rules. We just talked about ring generalship. What do you think ring generalship? Take a second. Take a second and think what you may think. Some things that involve ring generalship. See if I can find my code real quick. Here it is right here. Okay. Now, whatever you thought ring generalship is, it doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it wrong, just like it doesn't make my definition right or wrong. But I thought about it, and this is the definition that I came up with. Ring generalship is the ability to dictate the pace, style, and tactics of a bout. Take advantage of the opportunities with the capacity to cope with situations that may arise. And you want to foresee and neutralize an opponent's method of defense and attack. This is my idea of what ring generalship is. You know, I think that it's basically controlling the bout. You have control of the bout. Now we're going to go over basic defense. As you see, I have defense win championships. It's true. In all sports, defense wins championships. The reason defense wins championships is because it prevents the opponent from scoring and it puts you in position to score. And this is one thing that we need to utilize, and we need to think more about it in the sport of boxing. As you know, or as you can look, do your research. The best boxers ever, they had the best defense. The best boxers had the best defense. Okay, then you have boxers that we call dogs. I would tell you, dogs do not last. They have this spotlight in for a little bit, but then somehow they get destroyed. So all throughout history, you have people that's a dog, and people like watching the dogs. Oh, he's a dog, or he's going, that's what the dogs don't last. The boxers who have good defense and that are smart, they're the ones that last. They have long careers, and they don't lose that much. Now, the purpose of defense: to prevent being scored, like I said earlier on, prevent being scored on, and to be in a position to score. We talked about this earlier about being on balance. That's why you want to be on balance. Balanced stance. In order to execute multiple movements simultaneously, shoulders should be parallel to the ground, and torso should be perpendicular to the ground. Now, in boxing, you have different range. You have a close range, you have a mid range, you have a long range. And you use that based on whatever the strategy the coach, whatever strategy you use depending on the boxer. And we'll talk a little bit about strategy concerning different types of boxers. Okay. Also, you see I have be first. You want to be first. When I say be first, it does not necessarily mean throwing a punch first. It means you can feint, you can move to the right, move to the left, whatever it is you're doing, because when you're first, the opponent has to react to whatever it is you're doing. Okay. We'll talk about this a little later. Now we're going to talk about going to defense. First, we're talking about guard. Like I said earlier, guard. A lot of coaches, teachers, okay, when you say guard, people think about the physical guard or the hands up. The first aspect of guard should be your eyes. You must be able to see. You must be able to recognize. I usually give an example. I was a security forces member in the military, in the Air Force. And I used to have to guard planes and guard top secret buildings. And I have my M4. Okay, and I'm standing watch. Okay. Now, if I'm standing and I have my M4, now I end up going, what kind of guard am I? Am I a good guard? Of course I'm not. I must be aware. I must have my eyes. I must be able to see. Okay, so we must use our eyes first. Okay, then we have our guard, which is a deterrent, our hands. A lot of people want to have their hands down here, but the coach say, pick your hands up. The reason the coach tells you to pick your hands up is because it's a deterrent. Okay, my hands are here. Most people will say, hey, his hands are up, I cannot get through. And they won't even try. They won't even attempt because the hands are up. But if my hands are here, even a little child would think, hey, I can get it. They will attempt. So you want to prevent the attempts. Okay? You want to prevent the attempts. This is why the coaches tell you to keep your hands up. Okay? Next, we have what we call a catch. This is physical defense that we're talking about now, the catch. And the way that you catch is, number one, you use your forearm and your wrist, and you turn in front of your face, and you stop the punch with the palm of your hand. Okay? You don't want to slap it, you don't want to parry. Because if you slap and parry, guess what? You create an opening. You just stop it here, okay? And you have resistance. So when the punch comes, your hand does not move. It does not go back into your face. It stops. You just hear it and you stop, okay? Now, I've seen some people I try to teach to catch, and they do here. They do this. And this does not make sense if I catch and I go here, because I'm going to get hit in my nose. So when you catch, you want to make sure that you catch it, okay? And you want to have your hands initially here. Have a little opening here, because you can see. You have to be able to have a vision. Some people, when they box with their hands in the front here, they're distracted. They're where they cannot see where punches can come. They're hiding their view. They're distorting their view. So you want to always want to have a good view. You see something, recognize that you make the proper move. Okay. Now, if your hand is here also, if someone throws a hook, you got to go here, or you try to block it. You go out here, and it takes a little bit more time. Whereas it's here, the hand is here, and you can just put it here and block. Okay. Now let's say you catch and then a hook is coming. If I catch and then a hook is coming, which maybe come on the other side, or let's say it comes on that side, I go here and I just go right back here, being direct. And we're talking about block. Block now. Block, you want to use your forearm. Some people block like this. This is not too good of a way to block because you create an opening. Okay? So you see a punch coming, if I see a hook coming, a left hook is coming to me. I squeeze my arm to my body, to my head, and I put resistance a little bit towards the hook. Okay, and my elbow, you see, it stays to my body. It does not open up. It stays to my body. When it's make impacts, guess what? I'm in position to punch. The hook comes, and I'm in position to punch. Also, once it makes impact, you also want to bend your knees. Okay, someone throws a hook, I bend, it makes impact, I'm ready to go. The knees bend, point of impact, which acts as a shock absorber. Okay, because if your legs are straight and the hands, you're going to feel all the impact in your body. When you make contact and you bend your knees, it's like a shock absorber, then you just release and let the straight punch go to the opponent. Next, we're going to talk about slip. I see a lot of people slipping like this. The problem with slipping like this for me is, like I said, you're off balance. We never want to be on balance, be off balance. And when I move here, if someone goes over me and they'll push me down. I've experienced this and I learned this boxing on an international level. I would make an international boxer miss me, and then when they miss me, they just put their weight on me, and being off balance, I don't have the balance and the force to withhold them putting their whole weight on me, and also then it makes me tired. And then I'm looking at the ref, and the ref never called them for anything, but they called me for something, and it made me very upset. So I learned from that when you slip, you should slip here. Also, when I slip here, let's say a straight right comes to me, and I slip here. Okay, I slip, I'm on balance, and it puts me in position to throw the hook. Okay, the punch is coming. I want to go to. I don't want to go away from it, because if I go away from it, I fall off balance. If I go to it, I'm on balance, and then I can come back with the hook. Then when you get good with it, when the straight right hand comes, as you slip, you throw your straight right hand at the same time, where that right hand missed, yours will make contact. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about step. We talked about stepping a little bit earlier. Okay? When a punch comes, you can step left, you can step right, you can step back. The dip is just dipping straight down with your knees, not your head, just your knees. Demonstration. A straight punch is coming, I'm gonna get under the punch, and I just dip straight down. I dip straight down, okay? And I'm ready to attack. If bob and weave or roll is a little bit different. If a hook comes, the hook is coming this way, I would go under and I would make an adjustment at an angle, and I'll be in a position to do hook. Or if a overhand right comes, I get an angle, and I can punch. Then we have what we call a pull. A lot of people like to do what they call a sway back. They sway back and come back. Once again, I'm not too fond of the sway, because what it does, it takes you off balance. I'd rather be on balance, so I call it a pull, where you take the back foot and you step the back up, and then you can punch. Back, and you go forward. Another defensive mechanism is a smother. If somebody has a a good left hook. They're knocking people out with the left hook. Okay, so guess what? I don't want to move away from the left hook. It's a lot of coaches, I find out this, hey, you want to stay away from that hand, stay away from that hand. I think when you stay away from that hand, you're giving them more of a chance to throw that hand, and it's giving them more of an opportunity to hit you, opposed to closing in on that hand. If you close in and smother that hand where they cannot throw it, I would give you an example of someone that did it supremely. There was a guy by the name of Jeff Lacey, Jeff Left Hook Lacey. Very good. Ended up fighting a guy by the name of Joe Calzaghe. And Joe Calzaghe knew that he had a really good left hand. But what did he do with Jeff? He stayed very close to that left hand. The whole fight, he stayed close to that left hand. So that Jeff could not throw that left hand. And he won that fight pretty handily. Because it was a very smart tactic that he used. He smothered that left hook. Next, we're going to talk about pivot. We have two pivots. We have a front pivot and we have a back pivot. And I find from watching, a lot of people mostly use the front pivot. And I think that's a little backwards. I think you should mostly use the back pivot, which is better for medium range and long range boxing. The front pivot should usually be used for close end boxing, close range boxing. But a lot of people, they box, many people box on that front pivot. And what that front pivot does, it doesn't allow space, especially if you're chasing someone or trying to get to someone on that front pivot, wait on that front leg. You're kind of like going against what it is you're trying to do. I'll give you an example right here. Okay. Like I said, most people, they use their front pivot when they box. They use the front pivot. Okay. Now, if I'm boxing someone, I'm trying to cover the ring, I don't have as much space. My range is very short. My range is very short from off of the front pivot. Now, with my back pivot, I cover a longer space with the back pivot. I don't know if you guys can see this on the camera, but I cover a longer space. And also, this is my power hand. My power hand is always ready. My hook is ready. Everything is ready to go. I have range. My range is good. Okay. Again, the front pivot, if you're inside, guess what? The hook is coming. I can flip around. Okay, this is for close inside boxing. Next, we're going to talk about the jab. The jab is very important. It's the most important punch in boxing. But the jab is also a defensive move. It's defensive as well as offense. Like if I put a jab, I'm utilizing that space. Utilizing that space. Occupying the space. Occupying the space in the mind also of the boxer. Okay? So you can use the jab as a defensive mechanism. Then we have the feint. Not too many people use feints as much as they should. Or you will see somebody use a feint maybe the first 2 rounds and then just disappears. You should always feint because feint goes off the rhythm of the other boxer. They don't know what you're going to do. They have no idea what you would do. So sometimes you feint and you throw. Sometimes they think you're going to feint and you throw. Sometimes you feint and you go to the right. Sometimes you feint and you go to the left. Sometimes you feint and you attack. So feinting is a very important tool to use. Next, we're going to talk about angles. Okay. I'm not the type of coach that teaches boxing straight forward, straight backwards. A lot of people, they want to jump in and out, straight forward, straight backward. I believe in boxing in a 360 circle, always moving, always turning either left or right, okay? Because there's 360 degrees in a circle, okay? Now, if you're first and you move to the right, your opponent must follow you and move. And if you move to the left, your opponent must move to the left. Okay. If you move to the left and they don't move to the left, that's what you're in a position where you can hit them, they cannot hit you. So you always want to keep changing your angles throughout the course of the bout. I call it ticking, like a second hand on the clock, always moving. Only time you can stop is when you have the advantage. And when I say the advantage, let's say I get to this point on this side of our opponent, guess what? The opponent can hit me and I can stop, and now I can just hit that opponent as hard as I can. So these are some of the defensive movements I teach. Now we're going to talk about basic offense. Offense is what completes the mission of defeating the opponent. Okay. Now we have the jab once again. You have different types of jab. You have a speed jab. You have a touch jab. You have an upper jab. You have a shotgun jab. You have a jab to the body. There's many types of different types of jabs. We have what we call a straight shot. Straight shot is the rear hand, and it comes from guarded position, and it's direct. It's direct. Okay. Now, the way that I teach throwing all your punches is that your forearm is the driver, not the shoulder, not the bicep. Only the forearm. Your wrist must be tight. Your fist must be balled if you're trying to hit with power. Okay, and you twist with your forearm, and which is the driver. And it must be in coordination with your core, with your body, and your feet must be on the ground. Okay, your feet must be on the ground, because that's where the force comes from. That's where the power comes from, the ground. Okay, and I will talk more about it. Well, I'll show you now. Let me see if I can down a little bit. Okay. A lot of people teach that when you throw a straight shot, you turn that ankle out. You twist that ankle out. I disagree with that. I disagree. Because to me, force comes from the ground, from stability. Force comes from having a stable foundation. So when I throw, my leg is stable, connected to the ground, and then I turn my hip as I throw. Turn the hip as I throw. Now, if I turn the ankle, what happens is it makes my force move over more to my left. I don't want my force to go there. I want my force to go straight. Okay? I want my force to go straight. I don't want to use my shoulder, because if I use my shoulder, my balance will fall off. So, we're going to move over to the overhand. Whereas the straight shot is here, overhands open up a little bit. The straight shot is here, overhand is more here. Straight shot is here, overhand is more here. Okay? And like I said, you want to use your forearm as the driver. It needs to drive to and it needs to drive back. You're not completed, the punch is not completed until you drive back. There are a lot of people that throw and they drop. You haven't completed your punch. The punch is completed once you drive to the target and you drive back. Not just here and then let it go. Drive to and drive back. Same thing with jab. You drive out and you drive back. Drive up, drive back. Drive out, drive back. Same way you go, the same way you come back. Some people do here and they drop. You don't want to drop. Same way you go out, same way you come back. Straight up, straight out, straight back. Next, we're going to talk about the hook. The person that taught me how to throw the hook is a guy by the name of Marvis Frazier. His father threw a pretty good hook. His father's name is Joe Frazier, and he fought Muhammad Ali. As a matter of fact, he dropped Muhammad Ali and he beat Muhammad Ali the first time they fought. Okay. When Marvis first taught me how to throw the hook, first thing I said to him is, man, your father don't throw a hook like that. Marvis got pretty upset with me for saying that. And I straightened up real quick. And what Marvis told me, I teach it to this day, and I used it, and I actually dropped a guy using this, and it was a very high-ranking guy. But what Marvis told me to do is, hey, you have your wrist tight, your fist balled up, and when you throw a hook, the only thing you do is take your forearm and you twist it. He said, this is the hook. This is the hook. Keep your elbow down. This is the hook, and you lock it. The way you determine the range, if it's close range, it's here. Long range is here. Close range is here. Long range is here. Okay? Most people with the hook, they pick that elbow up and they go from here and try to get to the target. Now, this is the way that many people get injuries, shoulder injuries, because they throw the hook with the elbow up. When they make impact, there's recoil back into the shoulder, and you end up getting a separated shoulder or a rotator cuff. Okay, so the way that Marvis showed me is you keep your elbow in, you keep your arm stiff, tight, and you just turn here, and as you turn your body is what makes the hook. Also, one thing I did not tell you about, all your punches, there is a demarcation down the middle of your nose, invisible line down the middle of your nose. None of your punches should cross that invisible line. And the reason why is because if I cross the line, if I throw a punch and I cross the line, it delineates my power and it delineates my reach. Okay? So every punch you throw, you don't want to cross over that line. You don't want to cross over. Okay? If I want to throw here, my demarcation line is here and I need to make impact here, what I want to do is I turn my torso, which makes my demarcation line go here, and I make the contact. Okay, you let your body take you to the destination. So same thing with the hook. If I'm gonna hook here, guess what? I go here. My demarcation line is here right now. When I throw, I go here. Also on the hook, you don't want to pivot on your ankles, because what happens, it causes your impact or the force to go behind you. You don't want to hit yourself. You don't want the force coming to you. You want all the energy to go into the destination you're going to. If I'm hitting here, I want everything to go here. I don't want to go no further. I want to go boom and come right back. The same way I get there, I want to return the same way, using the driver. Like I said, this is the driver that takes me to, and the driver needs to take me back. I want to drive to and then drop, come back. Drive to and drive back, and I'm in a position to punch. Or I can drive to, and as I drive back, another punch comes. Okay? Same way we do the hook, you want to do the uppercut, but also with the hooks, you can have a high hook, low hook. Have a rear hook high and a rear hook low. Okay, it takes a lot of practice to get to do these things. It does not, none of this stuff happens overnight, so it takes time. Same thing with uppercuts. You have a demarcation line, you don't want to cross over the line. You can ride the line, you don't want to cross over. You can ride the line. Now, if you cross over, it may work, but you're not going to get your maximum effectiveness. And when we box, we want to get our maximum effectiveness. We want to be efficient. Next, we're going to talk about counter. And what a counter is, it's like, the counter means after. When someone throws, what do you do after they throw? Okay, a good way to recognize a counter is, let's say you have a boxer that's very good on defense. When they throw, I don't care how good you throw, how perfect you throw, you create an opening. If he still has defense, you don't want to come back on this side. If I throw here, you don't want to come on this side because the defense on that side. You want to come to where the opening is. Okay, so the counter is the same side in which the opponent throws. So if the opponent throws a straight shot from the right hand, guess what? I slip the right hand and I counter on the same side that the opponent is throwing. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about punching with. Punching with. Okay, let's say you have an opponent that's very fast and it's a counter puncher and they're very quick. No way you're going to counter them because they're too quick. They're too fast. So what you have to do is you have to make them throw. And when they throw, you have to step to them and you have to throw with them. Throw while they're throwing so you can make contact. Okay. And lastly, we're going to talk about stepping around. When we talked about this a little earlier, you want to be able to step in a 360. Always making 360. Step. You throw a punch, you step around, and you put yourself in a position to throw some more punches, creating angles. Now we're going to talk about the components of strategy. The components of strategy. The components of strategy are: one, tactics. There are concepts and methods used to accomplish the mission, focusing on the application of technique. You know, tactics are like I explained earlier. Let's say you have a boxer. This a boxer that likes to move left and right and just boxes. You cannot catch him. Guess what? You have to create a tactic where it's, hey, I have to catch this person, so I'm going to allow this person to only go one way. This person, okay, they like to move to the left, so guess what? I'll cut the left off. They will not go left, they will only move to the right. They're not as comfortable moving to the right as they are to the left because they're right-handed. I just let them only move right. And this is my tactic. So I must know techniques on how to move right, how to cut off and let them only go to the right. Next, we have operations. Operation includes when to apply the techniques. And one thing I want to let you know is that results are generally proportionate to effort. The greater expenditures, you net greater results. Also, there's such things as power, speed, and timing. They are very important factors in execution of the strategy. We know what power is, and we know what speed is, and we know what timing is. Actually, speed is power. But then you have people that's just strong like power, strength. So one thing we must realize is that speed is dominant over power. Speed is always dominant over power. Speed is power as well. And timing is dominant over speed and power. So it's best to have all three, and you've got to know when to utilize all three. When to utilize power, you can utilize speed and timing. Let's say you have somebody that's very strong at your boxing. Not too smart to try to match your strength with their strength. Use your speed to defeat them. Use timing to beat them. Don't just butt heads. You got somebody that's very fast, faster than you are. Don't try to outspeed them because it's not going to happen. Yeah, you have to time them. You have to set them up and you have to time them. We're going to talk about what I call a modified reflective SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a business term, and SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, this is what I do. This is what I use in my SWOT analysis for myself and for my opponents. Okay, I recognize what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, my opportunities that I present to opponents. I say my left hand is down. Opportunities. I look at myself. I say, okay, I see the opportunities that I present. Then also, I look at the threats that I present. And then I also turn that around to my opponents. Look at their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities that they present for me, threats that are there for me. Okay, and what I do is I break this down and I look. I break it down to someone that is southpaw, someone that is right-handed. I look at, because most of us are more alike than we're not. We think more alike than we don't. So I use a SWOT analysis in this aspect concerning left-handed and right-handed people. What things that they do. Now, I'm not going to go into all of this, but I'm just going to talk to you about some things as a coach. You have to learn to make strategies on how to combat and beat average orthodox boxer, average southpaw boxer, a tall boxer, a short boxer, a strong boxer, a fast boxer, a good counterpuncher, someone that brawls, someone that boxes, likes to move, someone that has a special punch like a hook, a left hook or a right hook, or a hard right hand. Okay, a grabber or a holder, someone that's always holding and grabbing, and then the referee seems to always calling you for it, and they're getting away with it. A boxer that boxes in a Philly shell or do the shoulder roll all the time. You have to come up with strategies how to defeat these type of boxers. Okay, maybe later at some other time I will go through this with you because I have a strategy to defeat all these type of boxers. We're going to talk about the variables of execution. Execution of techniques does not so much guarantee success, rather than understanding the specific characteristics of opponent. That's what I just talked about. Execution heavily relies on directness and surprise. Okay, directness and surprise. But we're going to go over all the variables of execution. First, we have directness. Directness is the quickest route from one point to the other. Okay. Surprise. Surprise, it causes a state of disorientation. When you surprise someone, guess what? Most likely you may end up giving them an 8 count. The referee may step in. Tempo. Tempo is a consistent pace to execute very quickly. Just keep a speed, this rapidity up, a constant pace. Okay, the tempo ends up breaking. It breaks people down. We have speed. We have speed power. We have speed that's rapid, and also we have relative speed. Then you have boldness. This is you gotta. These are variables of execution. Boldness is unhesitantly unhesitant in exploring uncertainty, willingness to take risks. In this sport, you have to take risks. You have to take risks in boxing. Stepping in that ring is taking a risk. Now, we're gonna, this is a little, if you can understand this This is a lot of information right here. And if you can take this, you can use it in your execution, it's going to take you on a whole nother level. Remember, the objective is to win. So we must devise a strategy. Focus is on winning. Okay? The components, as I said earlier, of strategy are tactics and operation. Okay? Tactics refer to the concepts and methods used in accomplishing the mission. Tactics focus on application of techniques, while the operation includes on when to apply the techniques. To win, number one, you have to take the initiative. That means you need to be first. Be first. And your opponent will respond to you. You must recognize and you must respond to the opponent's reaction to your initial act. Let me tell you, by being first, you dictate the terms of the action. You force the opponent to meet on your terms. Being first is a plus, even if it's just to prevent the opponent from being first. Being first, it allows you to impose your will on your opponent. Now let's say you're not first. If you're not first, you must respond. You must counteract whatever the opponent is doing. Okay? You can counter so that you can seize the initiative from the opponent. When they're first, you make the right decision in your counter, you can seize that initiative. Okay? Like I said earlier, results are generally proportionate to effort. The more you throw, the greater results you will have. Okay, the more you do, the greater result. You want to apply your strengths and weakness against the opponent's strengths and weakness in order to maximize your advantage. Okay, the variables of execution, like I said earlier, was directness, surprise, tempo, speed, and boldness. Execution of techniques, like I said earlier, does not so much guarantee success, rather than understanding the specific characteristics of the opponent. Execution relies on directness and surprise. Tempo is a force that will allow an opponent to fall apart. Speed is the rapidity of action. It applies to both time and space. Speed over time is tempo. Consistent ability to execute quickly. Speed over distance or space is the ability to move quickly. Speed is power. Superior speed always allows you to take the initiative and dictate the term of the action, forcing the opponent to react to you. Relative speed is what matters, as we do not always want to execute in a high rate of speed. Develop a competitive rhythm such as fast, medium, fast again. Generate speed when it's advantageous. The combination of speed and directness adds a shock factor. Execute with the greatest possible combination of speed and directness. Two concepts that are particularly useful are surprise and boldness. Surprise causes the state of disorientation, resulting from an unexpected punch that degrades an opponent's ability to defend. There are two ways of achieving surprise. First is through deception. Convince the opponent that you're going to do something other than what you're really going to do, in order to induce him or her to act in a manner that's prejudicial to their own interests. The second manner is to act in a manner that your opponent does not know what to expect. Because they don't know what to expect, they must try to prepare for many things. And when they're preparing for many things, they cannot prepare adequately for one specific thing. Boldness / confidence is a source of power. Boldness is much superior than timidity. You don't want to be timid. Boldness is superior to timidity in every instance. Boldness does not always mean immediate aggressive action. Boldness is a characteristic of unhesitatingly exploring the uncertainty of about and committing it to its fullness. Boldness is based on strong situational awareness. It must be tempered with judgment, but also it borders on recklessness. There's a close connection between surprise and boldness. The willingness to take risks necessary to achieve surprise reflects boldness. No risk, no reward. If you don't take a risk, most likely you will not get a reward. Now we're going to move into the mental aspect of boxing. Okay, let me get my papers together a little bit here. Talk about the mental aspect of boxing. First, we're going to talk about the thought process. I see I have 2 minds up there, but we're going with the thought process first. Okay. Move my paper down just a little bit before we get there. Okay, well, can't find the papers, but we'll talk about, okay, the thought process. Okay, our thought process. Our thought process, a thought can last from seconds to over a minute. A thought can last for a few seconds to over a minute. Hold on for a quick second. I want to get my paper. Okay, here we go. Our thought process is very important in determining if we're successful or not. A thought can last just a few seconds to over a minute. Average thoughts last 14 seconds, focusing on the future, the past, and the present. And this is very important for you guys to listen to. This is very, very important. It would take your athlete to a whole nother level, I promise you. Thoughts are either positive or negative. They cannot be both at the same time. They're either positive or negative. The average person has between 2,000 and 3,000 thoughts per day, with the majority of those thoughts being in mental chaos. When I say mental chaos, they're all over the place. One moment you're thinking about eating a taco. Next moment you're thinking about being in Italy somewhere. Okay, this is how it happens. Okay. Now, average successful, okay. The average person has 2,300 thoughts per day. Now, the average successful person, they do very little unnecessary thinking. They have between 1,100 to 1,300 thoughts per day. Big difference. The average successful person, they think less, they hold their thoughts for a longer period of time. So this shows you that fewer thoughts produce more results. Okay, now with your thoughts, you have three reactions to your thoughts. You have an emotional reaction, you have a physical reaction, you have an intuitive reaction. For example of a physical reaction. If you think sad thoughts, guess what? You'll start looking sad because you're thinking something sad. Now to talk about emotional, if you think happy thoughts, the serotonin level changes and you will feel happy because you're thinking about something happy. And also we talk about intuitive reactions. Intuitive is like, have you ever, had a hunch or a gut feeling, a sense of knowing something? This stuff comes from the vibe that we send and we receive from one another. So those are part of the thought process. And we're gonna move back up to our two minds. You all have two minds. We have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. Listen very closely to this. This is very important. Our conscious mind houses the 2,000 plus thoughts we have daily. Our conscious mind operates with the five senses of sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. The conscious mind is open while you're awake. Only while you're awake, the conscious mind is open. The conscious mind has reasoning capabilities. And your conscious mind knows right from wrong. Now we have a subconscious mind. Like I said, this is very, very important, and you guys need to put this together. You need to put this together. Our subconscious mind never closes. It operates 24/7. And it does not reason. The subconscious mind does not reason. The subconscious mind also controls the physical, emotional, and intuitive reactions to our thoughts. Very important, listen. The subconscious mind controls the bodily functions, such as digestion, blood manufacture, cell repair, perspiration, breathing. Subconscious mind controls all these things. The subconscious mind takes things literally. It doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. I hope you get what I'm saying. I hope you're adding this up. You can get your athletes to touch into their subconscious mind. Okay, we're gonna skip attitude, and let me see if I can talk about the concentration level. And one thing that I feel, okay, everybody always thinks about winning and losing. They think, okay, what we want to do is we want to win. That's what the focus should be on, winning. I disagree with that. I think that the focus of all athletes should be to get into the zone. And to get into the zone is not something that just happens. You have to practice, and go over thousands of times. Because when you're in the zone, you don't make mistakes. You do everything right. You're on time. Okay? But first, you got to be able to focus. You got to be able to focus. From focus, you move to tunnel vision. Your tunnel vision, you know about it. You cannot hear people screaming outside. You cannot hear them. You just only see you only see what's in front of you. That's a tunnel vision. Then there's another level called the zone, where everything just goes right. Because you've done things over and over and over again. It's almost like you've been there before. You don't even have to think. You just react. People say, hey, this guy's a natural. But know that they're in the zone. And that should be what everyone's goal is to get in the zone. Talk about core discipline. Core discipline is something I got from the book S.C.O.R.E. I just changed the letters up a little bit and put discipline last, which is usually self-discipline. Okay? To be successful in anything that you do, you got to have concentration. You must have concentration. You must be able to concentrate. It's the ability to focus mental and physical energy, whatever it is you're trying to do. Number two, you must be optimistic. Okay. You must believe and have expectancy that you can execute. You can do what it is you're trying to do, what you're doing. You can complete it. You can successfully complete it. You can win. You will win. Not you can, but you will win. To be able to relax, mentally and physically comfortable with whatever it is you're doing. You have to relax, not tense. I talked about earlier, ha, 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 ha. It's not relaxing. You got to relax. You got to be smooth. You have to be graceful. You have to enjoy what you're doing. Have the satisfaction or pleasure executing the task, whatever it is you're doing. Have fun. Enjoy it. And lastly, you have to have discipline. And the simple words I use for discipline is doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. That's all discipline is doing. That's all it is. Doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. Okay, we're going to talk about what a person shows that has these things. A person with high concentration, they have focus, they have tunnel vision, efficiency, accuracy, productivity, and quality. A person with high optimism, they possess confidence, positive self-esteem, trust, knowledge, faith, and expectancy. They never waver in their optimism. A person with high relaxation, they possess calm, ease, peace, tranquility, comfort, smoothness, and grace. A person with high enjoyment, they possess fun, happiness, joy, enthusiasm, passion, excitement, high energy, zest, and pleasure. A person with high discipline, they possess vision, specific goals, they have control, patience, they're persistent, and they have strategy. We're going to talk a little bit about physical talent. Okay. I have a quote up here. What counts is not only the number of hours you put in, but how much you put in those hours. Some people say, oh man, I was at the gym all day. It doesn't matter you were at the gym, you were at the gym all day. What did you put in all that time that you were at the gym? You just go to the gym and talk and, and joke around? Or did you put in the business you're supposed to put in? Okay. Strength. Effective strength involves one's ability to control movement while allowing proper muscles to relax while consciously tensing other muscles. Such as when you throw a punch, you tense your wrist, tense your forearm, relax here, relax your shoulder, relax your back. Okay, to be able to, that's strength. That's a part of strength. You must have suppleness and flexibility. That involves one being able to relax from tension and execute movement. That allows you to be graceful. Stamina and endurance involves the ability to work over an extended period of time. It's more like your cardio. It's a cardio, aerobic stuff, aerobic ability, aerobic capacity. You must have a high aerobic capacity. Sensitivity. It includes the 5 senses of sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. Balance and awareness of the body are most relevant in the sport of boxing. Balance and awareness One with excellent coordination, superior timing, rhythm, along with a refined balance and fast reflexes will allow faster learning and greater capacity in the sport. If one relaxes and pays attention, sensitivity will naturally grow. Also, I want to add with this concerning injuries. I will talk a little bit about injuries with this. Injuries are very preventable. They are preventable. Injuries come from a lack of attention to detail. You must pay attention to what you're doing. You must pay attention to your surroundings. You must be sensitive to your body. Let's say you're jumping rope and there's a little pebble in your shoe and you continue jumping rope. Tomorrow you will probably be limping because you weren't sensitive to remove that pebble from your shoe. A small little pebble that will cause an injury. So you must pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to what you're doing, pay attention, be sensitive to your body. Those three things will allow you to prevent injuries. These are some different quotes by different people concerning physical talent. We got one by Lou Holtz, a couple of them. Some nice little quotes. I like the one by Magic Johnson. Talent is never enough. With few exceptions, the best athletes are the hardest workers. A winner's edge is not in a gifted birth, high IQ, or in talent. The winner's edge is all in the attitude, not aptitude. Attitude is a criterion for success. What you lack in talent can be made up with desire, hustle, and given 100%, 110% all the time. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about coach-athlete relationship. We're almost finished here. We're going to discuss knowing and trusting yourself and others, communicating effectively, accepting and supporting others, resolving conflict, special relationships, and controlling your anger. I'm going to leave resolving conflict out on this one. Okay, we're just going to go over about knowing and trusting yourself and others. Leadership is built from relationships. Lead people, you must understand people. The best way to understand people is to get to know people. You want to have confidence in disclosing yourself, to grow and trust in a meaningful and successful relationships. Have confidence, disclose yourself. When you disclose yourself, other people will disclose themselves to you. You guys will grow trust and it will grow the relationship. Don't damage trust by rejecting or ridiculing or disrespecting someone. When you gain trust, you can influence someone. But trust is rooted in integrity. You want to adhere to moral and ethical principles. Do the right thing all the time. When you say one thing and do another, or speak badly of others, you diminish your integrity. Okay? When you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't do something different. Don't speak badly of others, no matter who they are, no matter, you all have our faults. Don't speak badly of others. It diminishes, shows you who you are. It shows people who you are, what type of person you are. And it diminishes your integrity. From trusting relationships, you will become a coach of positive influence. So, know yourself, like yourself, reveal yourself, act with integrity, develop trust, become a coach of positive influence. Now, to communicate effectively, You must understand, communication is vital to a successful relationship. And listening to someone demonstrates respect. Listening, because I respect you, it will build our relationship. Listening increases your knowledge. Listening builds loyalty. Coaches with influence, they monopolize on listening. They speak, but they listen. They listen more. Accepting and supporting others. To build relationships, you must not only open with others, but also to them. If you want others to accept and support you, you must also accept and support them. It goes both ways. We must understand that people need emotional and nourishment in the form of encouragement, respect, a sense of security, and recognition. Here's a little quote. Flatter me, and I may not believe you. Criticize me, and I may not like you. Ignore me, and I may not forgive you. Encourage me, and I will not forget you. Now, as a coach, you must have special relationships. Okay, there are important people that you need to build and maintain a special relationship. Yes, there are fellow coaches. There are sport administrators. They have a lot of information that you may not know of, and you have someone, you have a relationship with them, they will make sure that you have as much information as you need. Officials can break things down to you and tell you the perception of what the officials' viewpoints are. And you got to have a special relationship with the parents of your athletes. Have a relationship with the media. Have a good relationship with the media for your athletes, for your programs. And you want to have a special relationship with medical personnel. You never know if your athlete is going to come off an injury or something that's chronic pain or something that's debilitating the athlete and preventing them from being 100%. So these people you want to find and build a special relationship and maintain a special relationship with these people. Lastly, we're going to talk about controlling your anger. Coaches, we lose our anger, and mostly we usually lose our anger against the officials, the referee, the judges, and we have to control that. There's always potential for injustice and physical and mental injury in sport, which increases the likelihood of coaches experiencing anger. We all experience anger, but we have a choice in how we respond to it. Coaches usually experience anger when they perceive an intent to injure their athlete or themselves, physically or mentally. Okay, or somebody may demonstrate disrespect, insults, or humiliation tactics. Okay. Coaches may feel that their autonomy or their personal space is invaded, or their self-worth and integrity are threatened. Okay, when you experience anger, you can respond in one of three ways. Number one, you can respond spontaneously and destructively. You can respond purposefully and destructively, or you can respond purposefully and constructively. If you respond spontaneously and destructively, which is like you yelling, swearing, and maybe pushing, hitting, becoming violent, this destroys your credibility, and it damages relationships. Also, you become a poor model of behavior for your athletes. But we definitely don't want to go that route. So now you have purposely and destructively. This is when you're hostile and you make condescending remarks, use sarcasm, and you you say harmful things, maybe to the referee or judges, and you use humor, just trying to revenge and hurting someone because they made you angry. That does nothing positive. So we want to refrain from that. Lastly, you can respond purposefully and constructively. What you have to do, you have to change your thinking by recognizing that destructive anger achieves nothing positive. Remind yourself that the world is not always fair, that you do not always get your way. Accept the frustration and disappointment, but don't let them turn into anger. So that's gonna be it for this clinic here. But I'm gonna leave you with 21 inspirational quotes that you may want to use for your athletes. You want to train your mind like you train your body. When you have fun, it changes the pressure into pleasure. Build your weaknesses until they become your strengths. You must have dreams and goals if you're going to achieve anything in this world. Talent is never enough. With few exceptions, the best players are the hardest workers. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. You can't outperform your self-image. Motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going. The only discipline that lasts is self-discipline. When you believe in yourself and the people you surround yourself with, you'll win something really big someday. Learn to control your emotions or they will control you. You have to learn how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You must be present to win. Be quick, but never hurry. Less tension and effort, faster and more powerful you will be. The will to win is important, but the will to prepare to win is vital. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Be decisive. A wrong decision is generally less disastrous than indecision. Consistency is what counts. You don't have to do, you have to do things over and over again. Consistency is what counts. You must do things over and over again. I may win and I may lose, but I will never be defeated. Okay, these are the things that we went over. Safety, went over these things that you see listed here. And if you have questions, maybe we can answer those one day. I just want to thank you guys for your participation and joining me in this clinic. And I hope that, that you pick something up that can help you in your quest in the future. And once again, thank you. Continue to be blessed. Bye-bye.